Okay.
Okay, here we go. Gray was appointed Director of the Nebraska Real Estate Commission on July 1st, 2019. Immediately prior to that, Mr. Lemon served as President of the Nebraska Tax Research Council. In addition to his duties at the Tax Research Council, Mr. Lemon worked as an independent consultant on legal, businesses, and political issues from 2005 to 2009. He has been selected and served as a faculty presenter for Nebraska Bar Association seminars on business law and has received an In the Arena Award from the Center of Digital Government for his leadership in putting government services online. Mr. Lemon is a long life resident and a current homeowner in Lincoln, where he resides with his wife, Carol, and they have 2 sons. Let's welcome Director Lemon.
Thank you. I'm Christy. I'm going to make a couple of corrections for the record. I did not graduate from law school in 1968. I'd be looking pretty youthful for my age. But I think it was in the 80s that I graduated from law school, and I started with the commission in 2009, not 2019. So I'm been around the block a few times, but not quite that long. But thank you very much for having me here today. I kind of scrolled through it. The last I checked, we had 70 people. That's great. And I understand the need to keep people muted, because in these meetings, there are often kids, dogs, horns, sirens, etc., that can go off and disrupt things. But the flip side of that is, I don't want to talk for an hour straight, and you don't want to listen to me talk for an hour straight. So if you have a question, if you have something to say, please unmute yourself or raise your hand or whatever if it's getting unruly. But I want to hear questions. I want to have a discussion. I just don't want to talk at you. I am going to talk about a couple of main topics today. The first is our new licensee portal, and I'm going to have Monica Rutt, our Deputy Director for Licensing and Information Technology. Sometimes I just call her the Deputy Director for everything. I'm going to have her help a little bit with that. And so the first thing I'd like to ask, and once again, I understand that you're muted, but has everybody logged in and created an account or a profile in our new portal? If there are people that haven't, we can demonstrate that. I am looking at just a small chunk of you, but anybody that wants to see that demonstrated, we would be glad to do it. I've got one thumbs, I got a couple thumbs up. Yeah, let's do it. Okay, I'm getting a few yeses. Let's demonstrate that for those that haven't seen it, for those that want a refresher so they can show somebody else. So I had asked Monica to demonstrate this part because she's more familiar with it than I am. So I'll let her take over. And I believe you're a co-host and you can screen share, Monica. So you want to show them how to create an account or a profile, I think we call it, in the new system.
All right, can you all hear me?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. And can you all see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so in order to create a new profile, you're going to click on the sign up link here from our website. It's going to ask you 3 questions: your last name, date of birth, and social security number. And then click next. And I guess I should have tried this before we started. Well, let's go on to something else, Greg, and we can come back to this. How about that?
Can you show them the other thing we talked about? Well, you and I didn't talk about it, but we talked about demonstrating was a search. And you can, I don't have that screen up. You can probably find the search screen faster than me. Can you show them licensee search, applicant search in the new system?
Sure.
Okay.
So if you go to our licensee and applicant information search, there's been several questions regarding this screen. It requires 2 bits of criteria. So you can look up, say I want to find everybody that is a salesperson in the state of Nebraska. I can click on the license type of salesperson, the state, scroll down to Nebraska. It does require the verification code, and click on search. This might have been a big one to do. The results will show up in the bottom portion of this screen. The main thing when you're searching for this is to keep in mind you have to have two fields selected here for it to work.
How do you get the verification code?
The verification code is provided, I don't know if you can see it on the screen. It is given right here by the system when you open up the screen. If you want a new search, you can click on the clear button and it'll give you a new verification code.
So are we searching for all, there we go.
There we go. So down below here is a list of all of the salespersons in Nebraska. And it gives their information. It's just a brief overview. And then you can click on this icon over in the view print column, bring up their information. That will show you all of the details regarding their license.
And Monica, will those like license number, license type, if you click on those, will that sort by those fields?
Yes.
So it looks like it's sorting now by oldest to newest, but you could sort it by name, etc. So it's very flexible.
Right.
Okay. Any questions about that? Monica, any other comments?
No, I'm going to stop sharing and I'll see about trying to get the registration to work here, okay?
Okay, I'm going to go into the PowerPoint now.
Okay.
Yes. Okay, hopefully you are seeing a PowerPoint screen that says licensee portal overview.
Yes.
And once again, if you have questions, probably won't be too many questions at this point, but I just thought I would walk you through this brief overview of the portal, and hopefully we can progress through the slides where I'm at. Well, wonderful. That was working before and now it's not. Let me. All right, I'm going to shut this off for a second, see if I can redo it. Okay, for whatever reason, I didn't seem to like it when I did it full screen, but I think it'll let me progress through the slides now. What's new? As part of our new database, we have new functionality for licensees and the public. The public has access to the new licensee application information search, and the licensee has new functionality provided in the new licensee portal. And here is the applicant information search, which Monica is working on giving us a demonstration of, and she'll let us know when that's ready. But we'll give you a demo of that because we've gotten some. Well, I guess we did get a demo of that. I'm sorry. She was going to give a demo of the login. So we saw that. We will keep moving. So that's just further when you get the information, you can view or print from that view print button that she showed us before. And here's kind of the meat of it, I guess, the things we can do on the new licensee portal. I'm going to move this to my center screen so I'm looking at you guys rather than looking at my other screen. So on the new portal, and we're going to get into the new portal and show you this stuff, but you can add or change your own address information, add information about other states' licenses. Licensees and designated brokers have the ability to initiate and complete transfers online, upload documents to our office, track pending submissions into the office of renewals, transfers, etc., print receipt cards, wall licenses, certificates where applicable, review prior payments, review errors and omissions insurance, review pre and post continuing education. Oops, we went too far. Designated brokers can add a branch, review affiliated licensee E&O and expiration dates, and submit a termination of affiliation forms as the designated broker. So those are some of the functionalities. I am going to go to the system now. I thought I had closed my various windows. Let's try that. That's not what we want. That's not it. Okay.
Greg, do you want me to show them how to log in while I'm there?
Yep, you can show them how to log in, and actually if you want to, I had this all up and I closed a bunch of other documents, but now it's showing me everything instead of this. So if you could, yeah.
Gotta love technology.
Yeah.
Okay, so again, when you want to sign up for a portal, you're going to click on the sign up button or link right here. And then it's going to ask for information, your last name, date of birth, social security number. And then you'll click on the next button. Then you're going to enter information that matches your record.
There it is.
And once you've entered that, you can click on the submit button. And you get an alert message that says that you have successfully submitted it. It says a NREC profile registration email will be sent to the email provided. So when you click on the OK, it's going to take you back to the login screen. So you can type in what you just entered and click on login. And that gets us to a licensee profile. So Greg, do you want to talk and I will just navigate?
Sure. I can't, well, yeah, let's see. I can't see that. I think I'm gonna talk and navigate just because I can see my screen better than I can see yours.
Okay.
That's all right. Okay. You guys see, it should be about the same thing it looked like from what Monica had. You see the Nebraska Real Estate Commission, the portal page?
No,
You don't.
it says web store and discover the Chrome app launcher.
Okay, well, let's do that again. How about now?
There you go. That's better.
Okay, sorry about that. As I said, I don't know what happened. I closed every window except for the ones I wanted to share before we started. And through the wonders of technology, they all opened back up again. So I got a bunch of them on my screen. So we're just gonna walk through these various things, and Monica, you can feel free to add whatever else I'm missing. But first of all, across the top of the screen, you have various buttons related to the various functions. They're self-explanatory. We're going to walk through each one. The first one is my profile, including, and I'm a broker in here. There's a few things that I can do as a broker that you don't have functionality as a salesperson. But since this covers both, we're just going to work as a broker. The first thing to look at, you notice over here where it says not eligible for renewal. As you know, we have a 2-year renewal cycle. We often get calls from people saying, well, why can't I renew? Because we're on a 2-year cycle, and sometimes people call, and I call these the happy calls. I say, why can't I renew? And I say, well, because you don't need to renew this year, you need to renew next year. So we don't need to worry about that right now. But if you do need to renew, it'll say renewal required. And then, let's see, we want to scroll down to the contact information. Why isn't it cooperate? There we go. All right, so there we have contact information. We can edit. We can edit the email address. We can edit a contact phone, put in alternate phone numbers, put in a fax number if you still use fax, etc. You can add new addresses, add preferred addresses. If you have created a portal, and I think we said this in the instructions, if you have created a profile, check this information, make sure it's correct. We're going to rely on email more than ever to send you information because we have automated systems that do that. So make sure you have an email in there that's current and that you use because that'll help us and help you. You can also check your entity information, submit forms to create an LLC form or PC form online with us. And as a broker, not as a salesperson, you can also add a new branch. So we're not going to walk through all that process to show that it's available. And also look up your disciplinary actions. So any questions on that before we move to the next screen? Okay, next, affiliated licensees. And here we'll talk about the hand because some people miss that, but basically we've got the pointy finger that if you push on it, you get information. So you'll come to screens like this in various places of the database. You say, where's my information? And you can click on either the hand or the field and it'll pop down. Obviously shows your affiliated associate brokers, shows your affiliated licensees. You can also download and create an Excel spreadsheet that you can, then you have that document that you can manipulate, do whatever you need to do with that to maintain that if you want to maintain your own separate file there. Any questions about the affiliated licensee screen? Okay, E&O is fairly, I'm sorry, did somebody have something? Or did I just hear a noise? E&O, once again, you got the hand, you got the screen, check out your E&O information, shows when the effective date, when it expires. And so obviously, an important reminder, which we've already sent out, is we get to the end of the year, you don't need to renew your license every year. You do need to renew your E&O every year. If you haven't done that, you've got notifications from us, and hopefully you're in the process, if you haven't already, of getting that fixed.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Okay, now I signed in late because I couldn't find the link, but you said this was available to the public? Did you say this was available for the public?
The search screen that we showed earlier, and I don't know if you saw that or not, but there's a search screen where you can look up applicants or you can look up licensees. You can see their disciplinary history, their license status. That is available to the public. This is for the licensees. This isn't available. The E&O, the education history, et cetera, is not available to the public.
Okay, but they won't be, you won't be sharing our home address and that sort of thing, right?
Right. Whatever address is on there, Monica, can you answer that? You can probably answer that better than me.
It depends on what you have selected as your primary contact address. So if you have selected that you want to be contacted at your home address, then yes, that is what will show.
And our social security number won't show, surely.
No,
Absolutely
that will
not. Never, no.
Okay.
Okay, other questions? Yeah, that's a consideration. I know, particularly during the pandemic, more people are working from home, and some people may think about changing your contact information. So we send mail to your home, so you don't have to check it at the office. But if you do change your primary contact to your home, then that would be what would show up on the public search, right, Monica? Okay.
Greg, in the chat button, we had a member send a chat, and she said that why use our social security numbers? That's the biggest no-no across the entire internet. At the very least, it should be encrypted.
Okay. I figured we'd get that question. And, I'll be very honest with you. We weren't excited about that either. We had many discussions with the developer about it. Many of you are familiar with the home building process, kind of spec homes versus custom homes. We were buying software from a developer who had a platform already built that they use for many other applications. This was part of the fundamental architecture of that. And so, I won't say, nothing's impossible if you want to throw enough resources at it, but it just really wasn't feasible to change that. And we will, we don't sell lists to anybody. We don't reveal this to anybody. So, containing social security numbers, we'll be very secure with that. I was not excited about it either. We had a lot of conversations. As I said, it was just part of the fundamental architecture of the system we were buying. So basically, we can change the cosmetics of what you search, what things are called, but that wasn't in the cards to change that. And I know some people aren't comfortable with that, but it's where we're at. We've, whether it makes it better or worse, we've had those social security numbers forever, and in our statutes and regulations that we ask for those when people are licensed.
I think we have another question.
Can that be a non-required field where we don't have to sign in or put our social security number in?
No, I mean, that's basically the conversation we had, and they in their architecture, they need 2 or 3 unique identifiers, and that's one of them. And so unfortunately, no.
Okay, one more quick question. Is this a Nebraska program you purchased, or did the money go out of state for this site?
The money went out of state. The firm is out of, well, you know how IT operates these days. They're in, I believe they're headquartered in Florida, but also work out in Georgia as well. It is in the United States, though.
And then we have another chat with regard to security. Since you have all of our information in one place, how are you set up to protect against breaches or ransomware?
Have Microsoft standards for this. I mean, it's in a cloud. And there are standards, and I'm not, you know, intimately familiar with those, but and I'd have to look those up. But they have to meet the state's OCIO standards or additional standards as well in the Microsoft cloud for security of this information. It's as secure as we could make it.
Okay. The other one was just a comment. This data being here seems quite concerning, and I do not like the situation.
Okay. And as I said, you know, it's not ideal from our perspective as well, but it's the path we took going forward. And as I said, we have had these social security numbers for everybody for years, and it is going to continue unless legislation changes or something like that. With that, I will. So we were looking at education. So you can look, once again, you click on the fields and you can see the classes that you have taken, both pre-license and post-license. And I believe, Monica, that, and also continuing education, that's probably the better one to show. I think we had to data entry some of the information here to get that all current, but I think that's all in there now. Is that correct, Monica? Should everybody's be right at this point?
As far as I understand, yes.
Okay, so yeah, so you can check that. You know, you can look at whether CE has been met for your renewal cycle, hours, etc. I don't, you know, this is a test database, so it's not shown in here, but all the detailed information on that. So. Transfers, we do have the ability to do online transfers with this new system, and those will be you know, done through the online system, through a system of emails, online payments, etc. See what that looks like. So, and the one thing I want to note is either a broker or a licensee can initiate the transfer. Whoever initiates the transfer is responsible for paying that $25 fee. So that'll be, you know, if you initiate it, if you want to complete it at the end, you'll be the one that pays the transfer fee.
Greg, can I just make one quick comment?
Sure.
Getting back to the education part of it, you guys don't have to submit your continuing education certificates online. That is still what the providers do. The providers still do that.
Correct.
That was a comment that somebody had asked.
Yeah. Thank you, Christy, for reading those comments, by the way, because they're not popping up. I'm not ignoring them. They're not popping up for me. So.
Okay.
Okay, transfers. So we talked about that a little bit, initiating the transfers. Another new feature we have, online documents. This can be done through your portal if you're doing an application such as a renewal or a license application. It can also be done if you just want to submit some information to the commission. Is basically available anytime. I just put a sample in there, but it works. You know, if you've been online, if you've done other things, basically you When you click attach, it goes to your computer's drive. You pick a document, you upload the document, and it's in the system. We do not have a specific software protocol for that. I know in the old days of our license renewal, I think we asked for PDFs only. This will take different types of software. We ask that you use something that's fairly commonly available. You know, if we get something in a kind of bizarre, and I think we've just had 1 or 2 instances of it, but we've gotten something uploaded that we just can't open, and we've asked if they can send it in a PDF or a Word doc or something like that. But you know, any of the, you know, JPEG for picture, PDF, Word doc, HTML, I mean, it'll, you know, the fairly standard stuff, not a problem. If it's something unusual, it would appreciate it if you'd send it in a different format. Payment. So we also show your payment history, various things you've done with the commission, apply for your license, renew your license, transfers, et cetera, et cetera. And once again, you know, the architecture of this program is similar throughout. If you go over to the view print receipt, that's where you get the details on it, when the payment was made, et cetera, fee type. Look at the second one. I think with that one, with if it's like a initial license, then you get your receipt card that shows your license date, your expiration date, et cetera. Because I know, even though we don't have pocket cards anymore, I know a lot of people like to have their receipt card, so they have their license number and their expiration date. They can show that when they're doing CE or look up their number or whatever. So that information is available to you as well. So Monica, I'm wrapping up with the demo. Anything I forgot, anything we should show them, anything we should tell them?
The only thing I was going to ask you to point out is in the affiliated licensee tab,
Yep.
for designated brokers. If you can click on associate or salesperson, one of those two.
Yep.
Over in the right-hand columns, you can print, the designated broker can print out a wall license for a licensee. If they want to terminate the association with the affiliated licensee, they can click on terminate in the terminate column. Or if there is a transfer or a renewal that is pending the broker's approval, there will be text within that last column that the broker will need to click on to approve the transfer or the renewal. So that is something for the designated broker specifically.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Monica. Any other questions about the new portal?
Yeah, we do. One of the questions is why are we charged an additional fee for making a payment through this site? Can we still pay by check or check and mail it in?
Well, we are encouraging use of the site for the additional functionality. The fee, I mean, it's a separate fee. It's an additional fee, but it's a cost. Our laws say that we're going to charge the license fees to cover our costs of doing business. We separated the fee out. If we rolled the fee in, you're going to pay it through your license fees, because we're going to pay it out of our pocket rather than going directly to the vendor. So we're going to pay it out of pocket. So, you know, over time, we would have to adjust the license fees to pay for that. So it's, you know, we consider it a wash, but yeah, it's a cost. It's how we're, and we had to go through various processes to get it approved, but that cost is there and paid. It's just very much more noticeable because it's identified separately.
Right. Okay. Okay. The next question is, how are you notifying the designated broker on the transfers?
We send them an email, correct, Monica? Yep. Nodding her head. Yeah, and so, once again, I'm going to emphasize the importance of having your email current in that system, and obviously checking your email as well, because we are using email more with this system, and so we're going to send you stuff. As I've had many talks internally, if it's a situation where your license is going away, either lapsing or going inactive or something like that, we're generally going to send a letter as well, a hard copy letter, but a lot of these notifications are going to be via email.
Okay, so we have another comment. It says, can not eligible for renew be changed to renew next year?
I guess we,
I actually think that maybe there's a misunderstanding here with some of the people on some of the members. So if a consumer were to log into the commission's website and look for a specific licensee, will they be able to see all this information we're looking at now, Greg and Monica?
no, this is your licensee portal. This is the information that you as a licensee see.
The consumers won't be able to see any of that.
Should we show them? I mean, this keeps coming up, Monica. Can we show them the search screen of what people see again? Just to, now that you've seen this, let's compare and contrast and take a look at the search screen, and what a member of the general public will see if they search on a licensee.
Okay, while she's doing that, I'm going to read another comment. Isn't the Nebraska Real Estate Commission sitting on too much cash already? Why not include as a service to us? Thinking that this new software is also saving the commission money.
Well, as I said, there's credit card fees associated with these payments. They're either, in this case, how we structured it, they're paid directly to the vendor who pays the credit card company, or we pay them out of our budget, in which case we have to collect license fees to pay them. And our cash, if it's a comment on what is available in the cash fund of our budget, that is being drawn down both by the payments we've recently made to the vendor and the fact that our revenue is projected over time to run slightly under what our expenditures are.
And once again, there was this, who puts in the CE hours to know what the agent has?
That is done by the providers. They are required within 10 days to put the CE in, and we have had we've had very good cooperation with that. For the first time ever, I believe, we did have an online provider who was not doing a good job of that. We suspended them. We basically suspended their ability to provide CE until they demonstrated to us that they came up with a plan to do a better job, and they changed their name and they're back in business. But that's a requirement of the providers, as Christy well knows. It's one of her favorite parts of her job. And so that's where we get that. We used to have the certificates sent in, but we have the providers do it. Have you got that applicant search, Monica? Hey, you want to show that again to see what people see?
Yes.
Okay.
Do I have to stop? I'll stop.
Okay, can you all see my screen? Okay.
I can, yes.
All right, so I pulled up a licensee. When you search for them, you can click on the view and print that's over here. When that comes up, it has this simple information: their name, their license type, expiration date, their license number, date issued, status, the address. Again, this is their contact address that they've indicated, their email address, fax number, phone number, if they've had any disciplinary action, their company information, license in other states, branch offices, affiliated licensees. And I'm going to keep going. And then any disciplinary actions, again, is listed down here. So there's not a whole lot that the public gets to see. What is on your portal is significant compared to the information available to the public.
Okay, so a couple more questions here. We have somebody that has a question on the applicant search while Monica pulls in. Okay, I'm not really sure what that one means.
Chrissy, that's mine.
Yeah, what are you trying to say?
Yeah, so Monica, I was just curious, when you do a search for applicant, for a salesperson, the applicants, and you get the list down below, tomorrow when I do another search of new applicants that came out, it seems I can't, I have to do some sort of a sort either alphabetically and then go find the 3 or 4 new applicants today versus them maybe just being listed as the new ones, the top 4 spots are the 2 or 4 new applicants. I didn't know if there was a different way I could search for those. I can take this offline too. So, but I'm just not easily being able to see the new applicants that come in any specific order without having to filter through them all one by one.
I think I'm going to let Greg answer that one because I think it's designed that way.
Okay.
Okay. Well, I was going to let you answer that one. My understanding is, it comes up with the list. And we had a few more questions about that. I think I had the wrong screen view before when I was sharing screen. I couldn't see it, but as to whether we can export the list and can that list be exported, that applicant list, and manipulated? Do you know, Monica, like a Excel file like some of the others?
The criteria that comes up when you search, it cannot be, but there is a way that you can pay $5 and get an Excel spreadsheet.
Okay, that was another question that we had. And we have somebody that has, is it $5 for each time?
Yes.
Yes, okay. Okay, so while we're here, is there any way that you can show if as a member and they were to log in where they can find their continuing education information is the next question.
The continuing education information, asking if the public can see it or whether.
I believe it was just a member was asking that. Where can I view my CE hours? Where can I view my CE hours that the provider has submitted? And I feel like we looked at that once.
It's along the top under the education tab. And then you can click on continuing education. And then it will populate down here under the results of the grid.
Okay, thank you. Why are we providing this information to the public? Why include license numbers? I am concerned that the list will be used to spam with and other agents with junk offers for services.
Well, it's kind of a double-edged sword. The purpose of the License Act is the protection of the public. The idea is that you can go out and you can find out if someone is licensed by looking on the list. Also find out if they have disciplinary history, particularly on the license number. We used to not have that. We used to not have that as part of what we routinely gave out. But I believe it was changes in RESPA that required a license number every time they did a closing. And we were a lot of pressure to have those numbers provided so that people didn't have to jump through a lot of hoops to do that. It was 2-3 years ago that we did that. Once again, this information is is provided for the benefit of the public, that they want to verify that somebody they're working with is a real estate licensee, who they are, where they can contact them, et cetera. You know, as we know, many times those first meetings are with two strangers, and you want to have some information about that person before you meet up with them, and some verification that they are a licensee, where they work, what they do.
That's all my questions for now.
Okay. I think we're about done with the portal. I was going to talk about changes to the license law next. This is supposed to be about an hour. Is that correct, Christy?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to talk, the major change to the license law has been, well, as everybody knows, last year was a very strange year, and we had a strange legislative session where it was canceled sometime, I believe, in March and resumed in the summer. There was one bill of particular interest to the commission and the industry that started out as LB 929, which was introduced by the Realtors Association, but it was the product of work of both the Realtors Association and the commission, relating to the use of unlicensed persons in soliciting or cold calls. And so that bill has passed. It has gone into effect. It became operative on November 14th. There's an article about it in the fall commission comment, but I'm going to go over it since it's new law. So under prior law, unlicensed persons could not solicit, could not cold call on behalf of a licensee. Now, that's what the law was. From talking to people, we had everything from somebody's spouse, child, grandparent, whatever, making calls on their behalf, to overseas call centers engaged in this activity. Under the current law, you can solicit on behalf of a licensee without a license, but there are very strict parameters as to how that should be done. First of all, at the beginning, if you hire somebody to make cold calls, and they are making cold calls, first of all, at the beginning of the call, they are supposed to identify who they are, who they're working for, whether it be a broker or a salesperson, the name of the brokerage, and the name of the licensee on whose behalf the call is being made. So they have to identify who they're working for. They are not supposed to talk about specifics of the services provided, or any motivational factors or price somebody's willing to accept, anything like that. They can, merely say, I'm calling representing this brokerage, would you be interested in selling your house? You would be interested in this agent, and they can provide written information, via email, via website, whatever, prepared by the broker, prepared by the licensee. So the contact can be made, but it's very limited. They can't obligate a member of the public to work with a particular broker, so you can't have would you like to sign a listing agreement today? They can't seal the deal. They can basically just initiate the contact, say, would you like to have some information? I guess I would compare it maybe to somebody standing at a mall handing out flyers, where they're not talking to you about the flyers. They just have the flyer and say, this is a flyer about XYZ. Would you like to take a look at this information? It's the licensees and the broker's responsibility to have that written information, to have those written instructions available to that person. And let's see if we missed anything else. And just to catch all, the unlicensed person shall not perform any or other activity of a broker or salesperson as defined in 81.88501, which is the definitional section that defines brokerage activity, which includes procuring or negotiating for the purchase of property, acting as an agent, anything like that. Also, the law provides that failure to provide instructions explaining what that unlicensed person is supposed to do, giving them the script, etc., is an actionable violation of the License Act. So any questions about that new provision? Anybody doing that? Anybody using unlicensed persons under the new provisions? Any comments, questions about that? Any real world experience you'd like to share? I do want to say that, as I said, just having somebody cold call and talk about the services, go beyond the scope is now very strictly defined, very strictly prohibited. And although we were aware that that law was, the procurement law was not being followed very well before, we have this new law. It has the blessing of the legislature, has the blessing of the association who introduced it, and the force of law. And so we will, if we hear about this things and violations, we will look into those. Any questions about that? Okay.
Not seeing any.
Okay, next, just to talk, I'm often asked to talk about what am I seeing out there in the real estate world, and what am I hearing questions about. And it seems like lately I'm hearing a lot about people who want to wear a lot of hats. They want to be a real estate agent. They also want to be a house flipper. They want to start a title company, be a mortgage broker or something like that. And the answer I give is pretty much the same for everybody. The Nebraska real estate license law does not prohibit that, but there are provisions of law that come into play that you have to be very careful about. For example, I've seen a lot of sample solicitations where maybe somebody ran it by me to see what I thought of it, or maybe it's something that somebody else saw and they wonder if it was okay, where it looks like it's a solicitation either to maybe buy your house or maybe list your house, just depending on the situation, whatever works out best for me as the agent. And that's where I want to say, be careful when you're wearing more than one hat and try to segregate the activities, because to me, it's two very different things to one, be going in and talking to somebody about, hey, I want to be your agent and I want to sell your house for the best price we can get for it, versus, hey, I want to buy your house for the best price I can get for it. It's very basic stuff, but we talk about, people always ask me, well, what can you do to stay out of trouble with the Real Estate Commission? And we talk about the definition of an agent. An agent is someone who acts on behalf of another person or group. A limited agent, which is what most of you act as in residential purchase transactions, is someone who acts on behalf of another person or group without the authority to independently act on that person's behalf. That's why we call it a limited agent. My unofficial definition of a real estate agent is a knowledgeable, trusted advisor who puts the client's interests above their own and provides guidance and expertise in the sale, purchase, listing, or lease of real property. And so, once again, if you're coming in, you can be a house flipper. You can buy real estate. There's not, I am not against commerce. I'm not against any of that, but you have to be careful if you're trying to wear both hats, and say, well, I'm a real estate agent, so I can walk you through this transaction, but I'm not going to be acting as a real estate agent here. I'm actually going to be acting on my own behalf to buy the property. Now, you have to disclose that you're a real estate agent, but you shouldn't imply that you're going to be, in any way acting as an agent for them, benefiting somebody. That's the reason we have agency disclosure, is so that up front, when somebody's talking to you about their motivation for selling a house, about how much, pay for it, that they know the capacity you're acting in. So once again, you can act as a real estate investor, but be very careful to segregate the duties. Don't try to mix them up. Once again, is starting your own companies in real estate related industries. Our law doesn't prohibit that, although our law would require that you make a disclosure if you're using somebody that you have, you're using a company you have an association with as a title company, et cetera, would require disclosure. RESPA, there may be RESPA problems. RESPA is a very big, complicated federal act, so you have to be careful about that. Lastly, not only starting your own companies, but recommending companies, recommending services. Seems like it's been a trend over many, many years that's ongoing and shows no sign of abating, is that companies have people that they like to work with on transactions, and that is fine. It's fine to recommend to people. We talk about being a trusted advisor, but we also talk about being a limited agent. The final call is the call of the client, as far as title company to use, as far as lending company to use. You can make recommendations about people you've worked with where it's worked well. You can make recommendations about people you've worked with where it's worked badly. If you do make those recommendations where it hasn't worked well, always try to be factual, always try to be careful, because that can come back and bite you in terms of liability on your own part from that company who's not recommended by you. So be careful with that stuff. Remember that the client's interest is paramount. And as I said, without going in deeply into the rules, if you remember, we get the calls, when we get the calls from people that are going to end up in a complaint, they often start out with either my agent isn't talking to me, or I don't feel like my agent is acting in my best interest. So remembering those fundamental principles of agency is the first step in staying out of trouble. And lastly, I'll talk about, I don't remember too many things I learned in college, but one of the things I remember learning in college was enlightened self-interest, which is basically, not just doing things that directly benefit you, but doing things that benefit everybody and benefit you in the long run. If you keep your clients happy, if you look after their best interests, they're more likely to look out for you, recommend you for that next listing, recommend you for future business. And if you give an impression that you're not looking out for the client's best interest, that gives the industry more of a black eye, gives more people the ammunition to say, I don't want to deal with an agent. Those guys aren't straight shooters. They don't deal with me right. I'm just going to sell my home myself. So that's my kind of preachy message, but I like to add into that I think if you follow those principles, one, you're going to stay out of trouble with us, and two, it's going to benefit you in the long run. As I often advise, make sure when you're thinking about things, even if it's expedient at the moment, make sure it's not something that's going to come back and bite you. And we are almost to an hour, but if we have other questions or comments.
Yes, we do. Okay, getting back to the unlicensed personnel. First of all, where can they find that? Is it on your website somewhere, Greg?
It was in the fall edition of the commission comment. So if you go on our website and you look for the commission comment newsletters, it would be the latest one that we published, and it is an article in there. And also LB8, if you want to go straight to the source, it's LB 808 on the legislature's website.
Thank you so much. Okay, one of the questions is, are the unlicensed personnel vetted to ensure that they are not a risk to the public?
That is up to, the supervision of the personnel is up to the licensee. Arla's waving to somebody. You have.
He's like, I saw you.
All right. So, we don't have, there's not a provision in law. We are not vetting them. It is up to the licensees to decide how they want to screen those people. But our law says that if those people do something they shouldn't, the licensee is required to supervise them. So if they're not acting appropriately, it's going to be on the licensee. It's going to be on the broker.
Okay, this one, she's asking, is anything being discussed about the unlicensed people buying and selling homes? Signs around, we buy ugly houses. I am told they often have sold the house to a buyer prior to closing on their buy. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, that's something we're very familiar with, that we've worked on. As I think all of you know, nothing in the law prohibits, you don't have to be licensed to buy and sell on your own behalf. So, you know, somebody that puts up a sign says, we buy houses, and if they're buying houses and selling their own houses, that is not a violation of the License Act or commercial property or whatever. What we do see and what is a violation is oftentimes they will buy you know, a contract, an option to purchase, and then try to sell that before they have actually closed on the property. And we do have an opinion that says, you know, that the owner, since they don't have the title to the property, in that case, they're acting as a real estate agent. That is a violation of the law. We've contacted a number of people with cease and desist orders telling them they can't do that anymore. The problem is, you know, I'm not going to pretend that we can stop all that because, you know, as you know, oftentimes those advertisements are a sign with a phone number. We buy houses, and we tell them to stop doing it, and they can come up with another phone number. And so we do rely on you guys to self-report that. You know, I will say that I have talked to a number of people, and our deputy for enforcement has talked to a number of people who have said, I didn't know that, you know, I don't want to get in any trouble. I won't do that anymore. You know, oftentimes they go to a seminar that tells them this is the way they can make money. Often I refer to it as the cable TV problem, because we have seems like about 100 shows on how you can flip houses and have fun with your spouse doing it. And so everybody thinks that that's the great way to make money these days.
Okay. Okay. How is the real estate commission handling reported violations of these licensed agents acting as house flippers?
Well, I talked about that a little bit. So I talked about a real estate agent who's acting as a house flipper, and the law doesn't prohibit that. As I said, they have to act, and I've had conversations with a few of these people, similar to the conversation I had with you, where if you want to act as a house flipper, you can act as a private individual. You're not doing it through your brokerage. You do have to disclose that you're a real estate agent, but you're not doing it through if you're not doing it through your brokerage, you act as a private individual. It is okay to do. I know that it was a year or two ago, I think somebody put a big ad in the paper saying they bought houses, and you know, can you do that? And in fact, yes, you can. The law does require, if you're selling a house and you're an agent, you put in the advertising that you are a licensed real estate agent. The law doesn't require, if you say you are buying houses, that you have to put in the ad you are a licensed real estate agent. And once again, having a real estate license does not preclude you from acting as, you know, as a private citizen, buying and selling property. The only thing I say is, you know, I describe it as all in or all out. If you start acting as an agent, you know, then you're all in on the advertising, on the agency disclosure. If you're acting as a private individual, you act as a private individual throughout the process.
What are the fines that are levied for disciplinary actions used for?
Those fines, actually, they don't go to us, and they don't go to state government. They go to the, I believe it's in the Constitution, it's called the Common School Fund, but it basically goes to the same place the property taxes go to support the schools.
Can I get an hour of CE for this? And I can answer that one, no.
Has to be set up in advance, and I don't believe it does.
Regarding the address the public is able to see, which address do they see? I have 3 addresses available. They are other, home, and work. Does the public see all 3 or only one?
You have an option on your portal, and I should have showed this, as to, maybe I can show it, but, let me see if I can show it real quick, because this seems to be a issue of interest. Let me see if I can get us there. All right. And so we're looking at our profile. Hopefully somebody nod their head.
Yes.
Okay. And so contact information, addresses. So I'm looking at addresses. I'm working on the fly here. I know there's a way to do it. So I just pulled up my first address. There's a button there that says primary. So you want to, or a box there. So you want to click primary. I bet you if I pull up work, let's see. Well, no, it doesn't show that. So if I pull up work, so you want to put a preference in there. And it sounds like if you have privacy concerns, obviously you want to put that primary address as your business address, as your work address, your broker's address there. But you pick that as your primary, save it. Okay, what's my email? But anyway, you pick that as your primary address, save it, and that's the information that'll show up. So you have control.
Thank you. What type of fine are you imposing upon, oh, we're back into the flippers. What fines are you imposing on these people that are putting signs in the yard?
So our authority for unlicensed persons is up to $1,000 a day or any commissions earned without a license. I believe the biggest fine that we've imposed to date, and this was not a flipper, it was commercial broker, but the biggest fine that we've imposed to date is $20,000.
Okay. Have there been any charges against these people? Obviously, there have been, because you just said that. Okay. I'm done with all the questions. Does anybody else have any that they would like to ask Director Lemon while he's here with us?
And you guys know where to find me. It's been great being able to do this today, and I want to thank Christy for doing it. The Toolkit Tuesday, I even brought my audio visual with my multi-tool here, Toolkit Tuesday. And so a great idea, a great way to have an opportunity to reach out and talk to people. I know a lot of you have my number, and if you have additional questions, you can always email me, call me, etc. We're available. One of the things we pride ourselves on, and I know the phone's been busy lately, is unlike some big corporations and some big federal agencies, you can call our office, you can talk to a person that knows what's going on and get an answer. Maybe not always the answer you want, but you can get an answer, and I'm there as well as everybody else. So feel free to contact us, and thank you, Christy, for putting this on, and thank you for coming today.
Thank you very much, Greg. We appreciate it. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.